Good morning, hardcore football fans. This is the NFL Draft Bible Show, and we are here to bring you the sports entertainment you so deserve. I got a esteemed, experienced panel with me today. I got my man top left. We got Ryan Roberts, head of scouting for the NFL Draft Bible. Bottom left, John Murphy, vice president of the Toronto Argonauts player personnel. And of course, bottom right, we got David Turner, CEO of Maverick Sports Consulting. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
Good.
Rain and rock out here on the West Coast, baby. Left coast is the best coast. Let's go.
Absolutely. Let's go. And I am your host, Big Law, now of Woo Radio and Sports Bible. So we're going to get this show started, man. Beautiful Saturday morning. A lot of football. Of course, I said yesterday, it's kind of winding down, but it's okay. All right, because we still got a lot of games to get through, and we still got to figure out the college playoff. But let's do this. Let's jump into what happened last night. My man John Murphy on the scene. Looks like that game last night. You got Arizona State. Give me some information. What happened with that game? I see the score, but all I heard, I can listen to it in the background. Fumble, 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 fumble. Tell me what happened in that game, brother.
Well, I saw what happened at the end of the game, which is they were even able to get a walk-on from China to score a touchdown at the end of that game. So they set all kind of records, 70-7 as the result, and literally the first Chinese-born college player to score a touchdown happened at the end of the game. So I guess literally, if you were on the sideline last night, you were eligible to score a touchdown against Arizona. Will not be a happy holidays for Kevin Sumlin and his staff. What is that now? 12 losses in a row, I believe, for Arizona. So program not, very much not headed in the right direction. And for Arizona State, obviously the blowout, and it's against your, chief rival. Good on them. This is kind of more of what you thought. After the end of last year, Arizona State, could be, and I think it's a good sign for their prospects moving forward. They will have the upperclassman quarterback next year returning with a chance, to be a team that kind of, I think, surprises some folks. As you could have seen an early upset, with them. I thought they had a good shot week one against USC, and now they're kind of showing who they are and who they could be at the end. But, yeah, that was not a good look.
Yeah, 70-7. The quarterback for Arizona State, he's a little slender, but he looked like he was a pretty decent prospect. I like to see how he does next year. He has some good feet, and I like to see him, continue to strive and see if he can get the ball down the field. In other games last night, my man Ryan Roberts, you had Nevada and San Jose State. 6-1 going in and 5-0 San Jose State going in. What can you tell me about that game for last night, sir?
Well, it was a little back and forth early, and then Nevada also actually got off to a 20-7 lead in that first half, and seemed like everything was going pretty well. You go into halftime. They made a very effort to keep everything in front of them. Romeo Dubes, the best wide receiver for Nevada, ended up only nine receptions, but only for 75 yards. Out of the 33 completions, I believe, for Strong last night, he only totaled 260 yards. So there was no big plays. I feel like San Jose State did a good job keeping everything in front of them. So you go into 20-7 at halftime, Nevada up, and then San Jose State takes the opening kickoff back to the end zone. Nevada stalls, and then they go down and score. San Jose State takes the lead, and then they're starting to mount. Nevada has a tough time getting everything working offensively in the second half, and then they fumble. They have a huge fumble when they're driving a little bit in that game, and it was at the point where you're looking at it and you're like, okay, we were excited going in to see Carson Strong, the quarterback for Nevada. You were excited to see Nick Starkel for San Jose State. San Jose State's wide receivers, Billy Gaither specifically, had a couple big catches in that game. Wasn't quite the offensive explosion maybe that the over-under would have predicted, but a huge victory for San Jose State. They completely just captured every bit of momentum going there in the second half with that first kickoff return for a touchdown. And Nevada they just seemed to tick off all nights. You know, they ran the ball okay in spurts. They threw the ball okay in spurts, but it just was not a consistent effort, and they did not have everything cohesively going throughout the majority of that football game.
All right, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, I also saw that Utah State opted out of a game as well yesterday. So that's pretty interesting. A lot of schools are
they opted out of taking another ass kicking is what they did. Come on, give me a break.
And also, Big Law.
Uh-huh.
That's the first time San Jose State is going to make the Mountain West Conference Championship game. It's the first time in program history. That coach out there is really doing. It's a shortened season and everything, but I want to give him some kudos because the program is going to the championship game for the first time in its history. So, as a Bay Area boy, it's a big surprise to see the Spartans being undefeated like that.
Come on, Big Law. Tell him. Just hit the replay from yesterday. Hit the replay from yesterday, DT. What did I say? Who was winning the game, DT?
Oh, my goodness. Seriously, where are we going? Where are we going?
Lay it on, baby.
More candy, Brian Roberts. More candy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
Lay it on there.
He's eating so much candy over there from Halloween on through. I mean, you guys should go see the dentist. You got to have some cavities in there.
Yeah, that's right. Every week I play against Rick, it's like my sweet tooth is on fire.
Well, John, that's how I feel that's how I feel when I pick against David in our podcast. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Hey, listen here, Republican, without any stats to back up your claims. Let's just say that is that's a false claim. The Supreme Court will throw that out like Trump's case.
The loyal listeners of Mad Sports Take know the truth, David. They know the truth.
I'm sure they do, and they know that your nose is growing, Pinocchio.
Well,
on a serious note, though, San Jose State senior running back Tyler Nevins. You want to talk about? He had 113 yards 2 weeks ago total. Now had 336 yards in the last 2 weeks. Coming out of nowhere as a senior.
12 carries last night for 144 or 184 yards. He had 15.3 yard average last night.
Is there
15.3 yard average?
Is there a pro comparison for him for any of you guys?
I haven't seen enough. I will.
Well, the pro comparison the last 2 weeks is Derrick Henry.
Production wise, maybe.
Production, sure. But measurables wise.
Wake up if Dane Vandernat's watching. Have your coffee and watch some of that. You might have another virtual prospect that gets on your radar because that's amazing.
Yes.
And what a great story, right? Even if this is the only time he's ever talked about on this show, to be a senior and if you're at 113 yards your senior year, through the majority of the season, it means you probably started third or fourth on the depth chart. So regardless, it's a really nice story, that all of a sudden out of nowhere, San Jose State is now getting Nick Starkel, who quietly has put himself back on the radar, quietly done that. And now I wonder, because, we gave it enough time last week, talking about Zach Wilson and after the Chanticleers, I'm now, saying that, even myself, I would have to go back and watch this and see if Nevada plays another game. Did somebody start finding something you could do to get some confusion there to Carson Strong that would make you believe like the senior year is something that he could really make use of? Because I think that he could be kind of toward the head of the class in the quarterback group rather than only being in the discussion to be top 5 if he were to try to come out after one big season. So I think, last night, if you do it to Zach Wilson against Coastal Carolina, you have to kind of say the same thing after last night with Carson Strong. You have to watch San Jose State, go back and watch, if he has struggles at other points, and is there a key component to that? Because like Ryan mentioned, almost 50 times passing, total of 260 yards, doesn't take a math major to figure out you're not getting too many first downs and scoring too many points with that as your, kind of equation.
Well, for Strong, I was going to say for Strong, we've seen the gaudy yards per catch numbers throughout the majority of the season. The other game, though, that pops off is Hawaii, and it's similar, John, like 20 completions, 160-something yards. I spoke to Carson Strong this week, and he told me in that game specifically, it was a very odd game because they only had 6 possessions. They were really very adamant that they were going to keep everything in front of them. So, like in the air raid offense that they run there with Matt Mumme as their offensive coordinator, son of Howell Mumme, who's one of the fathers of the grandfathers of the air raid offense. We're working on a vertical plane, so a lot of things like if they're playing very soft coverage, we're going to hit a lot of comebacks to the sideline. We're going to hit a lot of stick routes. Like there was a very high emphasis to keep everything in front of them. I do know that, and David brought this up last night before our show. Carson Strong, I think, is in the late first, early second round conversation right now. And I think that he's going to be a guy that some teams are going to get excited about to maybe trade up for and make sure that they get their guy. But next year, there's a lot of guys, but wouldn't he be one of the favorites? I mean, I could see him ascending to being the top quarterback potentially in next year's class. So I agree with him completely. If Carson Strong is going to look at it and say, hey, I have the difference between late first round quarterback money or I could potentially be the first pick next year, it's something that I would seriously consider. And I know when I talked to him, he did mention he put in his paperwork for the advisory board. So he's at least testing the waters to see what the answer is for him. But I think that David made a great conversation point about that last night, that might be something that is obviously a heavy factor into his decision.
Yeah, well, it would be the worst case scenario, pretty much for us, because that means then it's Slovis and Strong as the 2 best quarterback prospects out west next year, which means we have nothing to do every Saturday but listen to David Turner speak.
And so look, and speaking of that, let's hear David Turner speak about the SEC. We do have the number 9 Georgia Bulldogs at 6-2 going against the number 25 Missouri Cats at 5-3 at noon today. Quick game coming up on the SEC Network. What can you tell me about that? Give me a rundown of that.
Go Dogs. That's what I got to say about this.
Okay.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
So, what I'm looking at here is Georgia's defense, overall has been great. They're second in the SEC. It does have a slew of big play. It doesn't give up a slew of big plays, but the team really is able to get dink and dunked on. I really want to see if Ryan's heartthrob, Eric Stokes here and Mark Webb and Tyson Campbell can step up, really sew up that back end for this Georgia Bulldogs secondary because, they've given up some games. They've given up Florida and Alabama both got 400 games against them, 400 passing yards, and even Mississippi State got, pushed over 200 and Tennessee pushed over 200 on them. So is this a game where the Georgia Bulldogs could really sew up that back end, make sure that they stifle the Missouri passing game? And, for Missouri, Roundtree, I think if they're going to win this game, they got to control the ball, run the ball with Roundtree, a senior running back that's a little bowling ball, like a 5'9", 210-pound guy, not a game breaker, about a 4.5 speed type guy. But, he's going to have to do something. Mike Mietti, the center up front, little short, sawed-off center, 6-foot type guy, has got to move some bodies for him. And then on defense, Nick Bolton, Tyree Gillespie. Yeah, Butcher's out. Don't worry about it. He's a good player in the secondary, and Gillespie and Bolton really have to come and stop this Missouri offense today and step up and make sure that guys like Kiki Chisholm don't get off on them and get good yards.
All right, yeah. So that's a big game as well. You got one of the only games of the weekend where you have 2 ranked teams going at it. Plus, it's an SEC game, so there will be a lot of eyes on that. I'm going to give you guys a quick update on this Commonwealth Cup clash between the Virginia Tech Hokies and the University of Virginia Wahoos, Cavaliers, as we call them out here. Now, this is what I can tell you. You got 2 teams on 2 different trajectories. The Wahoos, Cavaliers are ascending. They won 4 straight, and the Virginia Tech Hokies have lost 4 straight. And what I'm thinking, is going to happen is Virginia is going to continue to play the way that they've played for the past 4 games. They're going to run the ball, keep the turnovers limited. Brennan Armstrong has thrown the ball well, but even more importantly, he's run the ball well. He has kept defenses very off balance, with his style of play. And, he kind of plays. We talked about Tom Rathman, a couple weeks or a week ago. And he kind of runs the ball similar to like a Tom Rathman playing quarterback, where he's running. He's not afraid of contact. And, he was in concussion protocol because of that. But, he runs, and I feel like he needs to protect himself moving forward. But he's putting up some good numbers. And I think that UVA can definitely come in or actually go to Blacksburg and pull off the upset. It's over 20 years since the last time that they won in Blacksburg, in this clash. And I think once they do it, it'll be a streak that they're going to start. Of course, Tech having the streak of 15 wins in a row in this so-called rivalry. Now, they never say, they always say, whenever you get punched in the mouth or the champion gets punched or, the opposite team wins, that's when it becomes a rivalry. Now it's a true rivalry for these last 2 years, and I'm looking forward to it. Usually I'd be at the game, but I will be covering it later tonight. Kickoff is at 8, so everybody tune in. Now, my man John Murphy down there at LSU, we had a lot to say yesterday about LSU going against Florida and Cal Trask and Cal Pitts. What can you tell me about this game coming up at 7 p.m. tonight on ESPN?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot more like watching SEC track and field once again. If you're an LSU fan, Florida running up the field, Florida running down the field, and the only time LSU might get in the end zone is when they're coming on and off the field at halftime. This is not going to be another fun matchup for you. Like I told you, if you're an LSU football fan, you got to get through last Saturday, you got to get through this Saturday, and then pay attention again on January 2nd. Not because you're playing in a bowl game, but because that's National Recruiting Signing Day. That'll be the next time LSU gets a W is on January 2nd, because they're not going to get one today. I wouldn't be surprised if you see more of Max Johnson, playing in this game. I think they need to make a concerted effort to decide which one of these two freshman quarterbacks is either one of them their guy. How are they going to treat Miles Brennan in the offseason, and does he look to go to transfer protocol? And then they have Doug Nussmeier's son as, a top 5, top 8 quarterback recruit kind of in the pipeline coming. Yeah, I think it's kind of, you can't get to the end of this soon enough. When you had all those guys, opting out prior to the season, and when your best player basically has a non-football illness, the night before your season opener, you should have known 2020 was going to treat you this way. So once again, good on them for saying we'll punish ourselves and not go to a bowl game we're not going to get invited to anyway. That's off.
Yeah.
Decision. And this is just 4 more quarters. And if the game that you're going to be paying attention to closest is basically the Justin Fuentes Exit Bowl. This one is going to be the Bo Pelini retirement party, for LSU and Florida today, because as soon as they get back, Ed Orgeron and his family will be spending next week helping Bo Pelini box up his stuff.
Oh, my God. Well, this is what I can say. I know that, Alabama plays Arkansas, which is a formality in a game in itself. It should go, status quo. Same thing with this Florida game.
Hey, don't be shocked. I think this year Arkansas actually gets on the board.
Yeah.
No goose eggs. No goose eggs for Arkansas.
I don't think it's 62 to whatever. They have a little fight. They're coming. I don't. That guy has really done a really nice job.
Yeah.
With that program, considering when he got hired, they were like, we hired the O-line coach. That's all we could get was Georgia O-line's coach. You got to admit, they've been in some games and they've given a better effort to make you realize, like, hey, Arkansas is still in the SEC and they shouldn't be traded to the Sun Belt for one of those teams. Right? Because, in recent times, Arkansas, you would have liked to have traded them, right? Anytime you had a win over Arkansas, it was like you didn't get a Power 5 win. So at least now they've given a much better, representation of themselves,
right?
To make you believe they can get back to that, 7-8 win team range that you're used to or were accustomed, to there. But again, when Arkansas was winning games in football, Nolan Richardson was the basketball coach there. We know how long that was ago.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, I wouldn't knock it because Kurt Ferentz is a line coach at heart himself, his general skill set, and, his teams tend to do well. So I'm not going to knock that blueprint of putting an offensive line coach as your head coach. So I'm going to ride with that, especially at the state that they're in. But, of course, Florida and Alabama, looking at each other, for next week and looking forward to seeing how that game is going to play out. And we'll do a review of that next week. But that's something that we all have on our radar for next week. My man Ryan Roberts, top left corner. We got UNC in Miami, one of the and probably the most interesting ranked game of the day. Number 17 UNC at 7-3 faces the number 10 Miami Hurricanes 8-1 down in South Beach on ABC. What you got to tell me about this game, man?
Yeah, and one of the few games, like we said earlier, against two top 25 teams. I think this battle is going to be which defense has enough to stop the other's offense, because we have two very explosive offenses here. When you're talking about North Carolina, another guy in the 2022 draft potentially, Sam Howell for North Carolina, has had a great season. He's had two seasons so far on campus in Chapel Hill. He's got weapons all over the place. Daz Newsome, De'Ami Brown at wide receiver. Javonte Williams is probably the big breakout star in college football at running back this year as far as draft-eligible players. He's got Michael Carter, another interesting running back. They have athletes everywhere. And Miami is to the same degree. They have De'Aaron King, who is he going to be an NFL quarterback? Probably not, but he's an NFL athlete for sure, who is dynamic at the quarterback position, dual threat option. Brevin Jordan at tight end. Mike Hartley has come out of nowhere now to have a good few games for them at wide receiver. The defenses, though, for these two teams have not been nearly as impressive as their offensive counterparts. When we're talking about North Carolina, they have a couple nice second-level defenders in Chaz Surratt, who probably is going to be a top 2-round draft pick this year, and Jeremiah Gemmel, who's a junior that's probably going to head back to school, but he's another athletic piece on the second level. North Carolina's defense, though, has been a problem all year. It's absolutely been a problem. So I don't know if they're going to have quite enough to stop this Miami offense. And then on the other side, Miami has these defensive ends, Quincy Roche and another breakout star, Jalen Phillips. Those are their guys. And then Bubba Bolton at safety, who are all future NFLers. I think if Jalen Phillips and if his health checks out, his durability concerns in the past, he had some problems with concussions while he was at UCLA. I think he could be a nice riser in the defensive end class, because this guy is all 6'5", 265 plus pounds, athletic kid. So that's the guy I'm going to kind of be watching on Miami's side of everything. I think that at the end of the day, North Carolina is just going to have a little too much offensively against Miami. This is going to be a shootout. It's going to be who makes the best play defensively, who makes that game-changing, momentum-changing play. Give me North Carolina, though, today in a close one, a high-scoring affair in North Carolina, Miami.
Sound the sirens, baby. Hey, and you guys want to comment on that? I kind of feel the same way on that. I think North Carolina is primed to take the upset. I see Big John with the head shake on the bottom left. What you got, man? What's going on? What's up, Murph?
I got Howell coming back to reality today, like he did when he faced the Fighting Irish. If you can't run the ball and it's all Sam Howell, he's only a 60. He's got some good. The stats are the stats. He's not a high completion percentage guy this year. And if you hold that running game in check and you make them be athlete for athlete, I think this game could turn out a little differently in terms of not only the score, in terms of saying it doesn't hit that mile marker, but it could be a way for Miami with a couple of turnovers and holding them in check. This game could look a whole lot like that second half that North Carolina had against Notre Dame.
Miami's frauds. Bunch of frauds, right, David?
Oh, here you go. I was being quiet. I was leaving you alone. I was letting you hate on the U. I was letting you do it. I was letting you just go down and hate on the Florida team again, because you hate Florida. You have something against the whole state of Florida. But the U, baby, as John knows, the U has the athletes, has the people, has a stacked deck, and they're going to roll in here and they're going to let it be known. Just like the first game of the year when you picked Louisville to beat the U, and I told you were wrong. Guess what? Get used to it. You should be used to it by now. You're wrong again. Here comes the U. Here we go, baby. Rolling it out.
You remember when they played Clemson and you said it was going to be a close game and I said they were going to roll them by 3 scores? You remember that one? Or no, you forgot that one? That one's out of the memory bank. You're too busy texting,
I don't remember you ever being right. So yeah, no, I can't recall that at all.
We call that selective hearing.
Oh, it's called facts, baby. It's called facts.
Well, this is what I can tell you. You got 2 guys on the bottom for the U, the 2 guys up top for the Heels, and we'll see what's going to happen with this game. I believe we got a 3:30 kickoff.
I know one thing. If it comes down to the head coaches getting into it, you have no shot.
Well,
yeah,
I agree with that one. I agree that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see how much if the Carolina Tar Heels can burst the bubble of the New Year's Six for Miami. But Miami still may get a bid for a New Year's Six bowl, even though they may wind up losing. But we'll see how that game checks out midday today. All right, my man DT, David Turner. We got a beautiful game today. We got Navy versus Army. Typically, in a regular year, non-2020, this would be the only game of the day. All right, but because this is 2020, all the games are mixed up. Some games had to be postponed, so this is a good day. So we actually got more than one game, but today, Navy versus Army. Navy 3-6, Army 7-2, a resurgence, okay, of the Army Academy on CBS today. What can you tell me about this game, man? I'm really excited to watch this. You know, the unis are hot. You know, everything is on the line for this game with these guys.
Well, this is the 121st matchup between Army and Navy. It's the 121st game with Army and Navy. It's the first time in 77 years that this will be held at West Point at Michie Stadium, where, again, no fans will be allowed. They had to change the venue because of Philadelphia taking away fans at live events and things. So this is going to be a historic event. Might be one of the last times you ever see the game at West Point. So if you haven't seen the campus, tune in to all the pregame shows. They're doing a lovely job showing you the campus, showing you all the pregame hype that's going on up there with our men and women that are, you know, obviously getting a little break from the day-to-day, enjoying this rivalry. I mean, you had some great stars, obviously, playing this game from years past. And now, you know, for us to see this, Navy leads the overall record 61-52-7. So, I mean, this is a situation where 3-6 Navy is rolling into 7-2 Army. The Army might actually be able to climb out of that and win this game today. They're honoring I think it was the 72nd Airborne or something today.
Airborne.
So, yeah, so therefore the unis are going to represent the Airborne for Army. It's just a great thing. Honestly, this is a great game for our country. It's a great game for us to rally around, to support the men and women, obviously, that go out and some sacrifice their lives for us, to serve for us in this after they do this game and after they graduate from West Point in the Naval Academy. So it's one that I really love that we're talking about, and I appreciate you putting it on the docket here, Big Law. As far as prospects go, Army has one. You know, look at Terrell Robinson, a 5'9", 180-pound, 4'5", like a 4-5 style running back coming out of Army. And Navy, the middle linebacker, Diego Fago, I think is how you say it. And he's a 6'2", 240-pound inside linebacker.
Nice.
You know, he's going to run about a 4.7 or 4.80 type guy. But, you know, they do have a couple prospects for, you know, listening into the Draft Bible Familia. You're going to know we talk prospects here. We went in, we found a few. But, again, the tradition, the history, the richness of this game and what it means to our country, let's celebrate it today. Tune in and watch. Give them the viewership, people.
Absolutely. Did you guys want to say anything about that, Ryan or John?
No,
I love this new idea about the uniforms. I think it's a great idea. Both sides are, you know, choosing a regiment and honoring them. So it gives, the audience at home a little history lesson. I guess Army's representing the 25th Infantry, you know, with their uniform. So I think that's a cool aspect of, you know, a little twist, you know, kind of to it. And these games are always, the record doesn't matter. It's usually a 4-quarter game and usually something funky. ends up happening. And I think Navy's on their like fourth or fifth quarterback, of the team starting a true freshman, in this game. So one thing, if you're the true freshman quarterback, you have a chance to make history and put your name in the record books, if you can pull out a victory here. So think about it for Army at 7-2. Now they play Navy in this kind of crazy matchup at home, literally. And then they're playing Air Force next. Yeah. So that's never happened, to where, they're getting an opportunity like that to play, service academies back to back. So I think that's exciting, for those programs in general. And it's one of those games that, they care about the result. You as fans care about the opportunity, to kind of put that game, in its proper place and perspective, and realize, what these guys will be doing in the future when we're watching and being able to enjoy watching college football on a Saturday. And they'll be, in the future, they'll be doing quite some other things much more important than what we're doing, with their lives. So hats off to them. And, we thank them for their service and future service as well.
Anything, Ryan?
No, I think John summed it up perfectly. This is a rivalry where no matter what the teams look like, it's always going to be highly competitive. It's a historical matchup, obviously, and it's a game that whether you're a huge college football fan, whether you're a huge NFL draft guy, like no matter what the demographic of the person is that watching, you can sit down and you can enjoy this game with the historical context and just the great tradition and the great atmosphere around the game.
Yeah, and of course, I'm from Hampton Roads. I'm here in Hampton Roads, and the most powerful naval base here in Norfolk, Virginia. And of course, it's huge out here, with the Naval Academy. And then, of course, I cannot not speak about Fort Eustis, which is on the other side of town, up towards Williamsburg. Fort Eustis is the Army base here, so this is a huge game out here, and whenever you get an opportunity to, to sit down and watch it and understand that, these young men and women sacrifice their lives for us, and they also are entertaining us at this point with this game as well. And just enjoy it, support your troops. It's just a great thing to see, and I can't wait to take some of it in. But my man John Murphy. Now, Louisiana Tech, we're going to talk about them. Louisiana Tech versus TCU. Louisiana Tech at 5-3, TCU at 5-4. Thought I'd give you a little bit of love. You're down there in the dirty South. So I want to talk to you about your Louisiana Tech and TCU. What you got going on in that game, brother?
The interesting, thing in this matchup is, like TCU was, for me, dead and buried, early in the season in terms of, there was nothing going on for them. Offense wasn't doing anything. Defense was giving up points. But you really got to give Coach Patterson credit in a COVID season where easily it could have continued to go off the rails. They've been very competitive, got themselves back in the mix to have a winning record, and now you got 5-3 against 5-4. Max Duggan, he has some really interesting games in terms of his play style that you either want to, you love him or you want to kill him on the same play. And on their sideline, I think there's always a lot of no. Okay. Some stuff that looks like he's freelancing on a good play. He's freelancing, and on a bad play, he's really freelancing there. But he has a really strong arm. Clearly, he's an emotional type leader that needs to at times kind of keep it in check. But he's been able to make some big plays for them, and pretty much how he goes, they go. And then on the flip side, Luke Anthony, as a transfer quarterback, comes up from a lower division and has a pretty nice season, for La Tech. He's not turning the ball over. 3-to-1 touchdown to interception, ratio for them. Yeah, the thing that they don't have is, to me, for La Tech, you're used to two things out of them. Normally, there's a playmaker on the outside, and there's a little more foundational running attack where this team has kind of the offense is spread out. You have a different guy, that can kind of, lead the team in rushing or receiving on a given week. I know they would like Israel Tucker to kind of take that, job and be the primary running back. I think La Tech can score some points on TCU, but the way TCU has played, in the second half of the season, I think TCU guarantees that both teams are going to finish with a winning record. It's just one's going to be 6-4 and the other one's going to be 5-4.
Gotcha. Yeah. So just another good game coming up, for this weekend. Of course, there are some games where teams don't have great records but have big names. You got Michigan State at 2-4. Getting ready to play Penn State at 2-5. Some records you probably could not have guessed. Okay, that these two teams have these records are going to go at it. I'm very interested to see how that game goes. Is the coach for Penn State, is he on the hot seat, even though it's a bad year? Michigan State as well, is their coach on the hot seat based on, what they're used to winning, year in and year out. Also, in other news we got, I'm interested to see how Tua's brother, Leah, plays against Rutgers today as well. Maryland 2-2 and Rutgers at 2-5. I'm looking forward to seeing if Maryland can continue with Coach Loxley and improve that program and go against Rutgers. And I know Rick is going to be watching that game as well. But that's a noon game, so yeah, I want to see if Leah can return to how he had played 2 or 3 games ago, and kind of put me in the mind of a little bit of a Russell Wilson, kind of the way that he was playing. So I'm really interested in that. And what about some of these canceled games? All right, one of the biggest games of the year, Michigan State, Ohio State got canceled, guys. That's something that with this COVID thing, you never know what you're going to get, and to have that canceled is a bad, just a black eye on the season. I know that Pittsburgh opting out is also something that we have to consider. BC opting out. They're just quitting on their seasons, and I think we're going to get some more coming in here. I'd be interested to see how many other teams are going to opt out, even though, they still could have gone to a bowl game or whatever bowl games that are going to be left for them to be into. But let's get into another segment we got going on here, which is the diamond in the rough. All right. They say diamonds are forever. But how about this? I want to talk to my man, Ryan Roberts. I want you to give me a diamond in the rough, someone that no one really talks about, but could possibly play on the next level and possibly be a good contributor. What you got for me this week, Ryan?
One kid that I liked a lot in summer scouting a little bit, and I wanted to highlight him because Colorado State has not had a great season. 1-3. They had Warren Jackson, the wide receiver, that opted out. Patrick O'Brien, the former Nebraska transfer, a quarterback who has, some arm talent but hasn't been super consistent. A guy I like for them, though, is a tight end named Trey McBride. He's listed at 6'4", 260 pounds. So far in the year, in 4 games, he has 22 receptions for 330 yards, 4 touchdowns, averaging over 80 yards receiving a game. Really talented pass catcher. He's not the quickest athlete in the world. He's not the most flexible athlete in the world, but at 6'4", 260, he's got solid straight line speed, and he has a big frame. He knows how to box out defenders, and he is possibly, if he chooses to declare, because he was a guy before the season that actually originally opted out and was going to prepare for the 2021 NFL draft and decided to come back when the Mountain West came back. He's a guy that is, if he's in the class, in my opinion, is the best blocking tight end that I have seen in the class on top of what he has receiving chops. So Trey McBride, big tight end. I got kind of some Brent Selleck vibes that used to play with the Philadelphia a little bit. Like there's nothing spectacular athletically about him, but he's just kind of that grinder that can do a little bit of everything. Solid pass catcher, short intermediate pass catcher. He's not a dynamic athlete by any way, but I think he has enough to him as a dual threat type of tight ends where he could find a niche in the NFL for a decent amount of time.
Well, you think about the tight ends in the league, typically, people say, oh, you don't have to get a tight end, high in the draft, and you don't. You think about Kittles. You think about a guy with that kind of a skill set. He didn't go high in the draft, but he's the best tight end in the game. So that's the kind of player where they keep on developing. They could wind up being, a type of a Pro Bowl talent. And that's, same thing with Gronk. He wasn't a first-round pick, but, he wound up being a Hall of Fame tight end, when it's all said and done. But going on to the next diamond in the rough, my man David Turner, what you got for me as far as a diamond in the rough, a player under the radar?
Here's one that I'm kind of going to be a little homer with on this one because his hometown is Gilbert, Arizona. He's got his team in a really good position people aren't talking about the job he's doing. This is Iowa State's quarterback, Brock Purdy. I mean, this is a kid who's 6'1" 220 pounds, and a lot of he's got the team sitting at the number 10 spot. Iowa State only has one loss on the year, and this is a guy that definitely nobody's talking about what he's done in the quarterback spot. He started nearly 3 years there so far as a junior. He's got some intangibles. He throws a really nice ball, very soft, very I want to say good touch ball to a lot of his to downfield, drops the ball in good catching position where the receivers can run off the catch some yak yards, and do things with it. He doesn't throw them into traffic a lot. He always throws them open, and he has talent with his feet. He can move in the pocket. He picks up those yards when they need to just escape the rush, extend plays. Keeps his eyes downfield. So this is a young man. He is a junior. He's probably not coming out this year. He's going to be a 4-year player, contributor out of the program there at Iowa State that's up and coming. So this is a kid I wanted to get a little love to. Go ahead, take a look at him, see what you think of him when they start playing football again.
Absolutely. And I have a guy that I have under the radar, and I'm going to be a little bit of a homer as well. This guy plays for UVA. I really haven't seen him. He came out with came to UVA with not a lot of offers, believe it or not. 6'7" receiver Lavelle Evans III, who is really starting to be one of the top receivers. I want to say the second game of the year, he was freshman of the week and caught 2 touchdowns. And he's in the mind like a Plexico Barris is what he looks like to me, and kind of the way he moves. 6'7", about 200 pounds. Kind of slim, but the guy is super talented, and he showed that he has some wheels as well. The guy can run, and he can get away from you, but also shows that that catch radius, shows off his catch radius whenever he's given the opportunity. And he's just a true freshman, so that's another player that that I will keep an eye on, and that's a diamond in the rough, a guy who I think can you give him another couple years in a college program and have him continue to develop, and he may have an opportunity to play on the next level as well. Anything we want to say? I'm gonna give some parting shots to every one of you guys. I'll start with you, Mr. Murphy. Any parting shots for this week?
Well, I'm gonna give Ricky Boy there on the out there on the pier a little love. If you want an underrated guy to take a look at, Rutgers is playing Maryland. I'm not sure if I could sign the upset alert for him, this week. But number 3 linebacker for Rutgers, Olakuni Fatakasi, his brother is playing for the Jets.
Wow.
100 tackle mark in only 7 or 8 games this year. Already has 91 tackles on the season as a senior. He's definitely gonna, be a kid that, he has to he's undersized. He's gonna be about 6 foot, 225, 230. Got to see him run so that he can give some better testing numbers to the scouts. And if you're watching out west tonight, San Diego State playing BYU, Greg Bell has done a tremendous job of getting himself back on the radar. JUCO kid, one of the top backs in the country, went to Nebraska, played 1 game, must have didn't like the service there, or didn't like the class schedule, because he played once and then disappeared. And now is shown back up at San Diego State. Their leading rusher has about 600 yards, averaging about 6 a carry. San Diego State playing against BYU tonight could be a little better game than people think, because San Diego State has a good O-line. They play very well cohesively. And after what happened last week, BYU comes out, in that matchup. But want to give Rick a little love. We'll be watching Rutgers this afternoon, and maybe Shiano can pull one out and put a smile on the Serratera family face today.
Yeah, we'll see. They got to beat the Dirty Terps, and we'll see if they can do it. David Turner, you got a parting shot for this weekend, this Saturday?
Again, support our troops, support everybody that, we can. Stay safe, everybody, with numbers rising across the country with COVID and games all over the place. I think there was 10 of them canceled for COVID reasons. We see these, the direct impact of this disease. Yes, death tolls are rising as well and everything. So we got to keep everybody safe through the holiday season. I've said it from the beginning, and I'll say it again. It's on us to defeat this COVID thing and be responsible. Wear your mask when you're out in public. Do the right thing, not only for yourself, but for those around you.
Absolutely. And my man Ryan, we'll close up with you. What do you have as far as a parting shot for this weekend, this Saturday?
Well, David highlighted the Georgia-Missouri game earlier in the show. I want to give a little more love to Nick Bolton, the linebacker from Missouri, because I feel like David didn't give him justice. This guy is in the Devin Bush mold. He's in the Devin Bush mold. He's right around 6 foot, 230 plus pounds. But this guy is rocked up. He is super physical. He is a real player in the linebacker group that everybody knows about, guys like Micah Parsons. I think that Nick Bolton could potentially fight for that second linebacker off the board after Micah Parsons. I think he's that talented. So just really, if you want a guy to watch number 32 in the middle of the Missouri defense. He's a ball of energy. He is super physical, great eyes, great run fits. He is a great trigger. Like everything about him is just so solid. And I am going to be definitely tuned into that game to watch him specifically on that Missouri defense, along with Mr. Gillespie. And then, the only other thing is we are now coming to the close here of Friday Night Scout School, right, David? We have about three seminars left. And you have not tuned in. We had a great college football scouting department seminar last night. We're moving into the pro side of things next week. It's a lot of fun. Friday nights, 9 o'clock Eastern time. Make sure to sign up at NFLDraftBible.com if you have not seen that. If you have missed some of these seminars, obviously at this point, you can still get the season pass, and then we'll be able to archive all those seminars for you. A highly recommended product here at NFL Draft Bible.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And my parting shot is, hey, guys, everyone out there, viewers and listeners, understand that this is the holiday season. I actually have a toy drive I'm doing today, going out getting some toys for some kids for some kids here in Hampton Roads, unfortunate kids. So we're going to take care of them. We're going to continue on. We will be having a gifting event later on in the month as well before Christmas. And this is the season, guys. If you can help somebody out, help them out. We just talk about sports, but the world is much bigger than that. Like my man DT said, we got to take care of each other. Wear your mask, make sure you're doing the right thing, and we'll get through this thing together. But anything else, guys, before I close it out?
Hey, pay attention to my picks tomorrow and then donate some of your winnings to Big Law's toy drive.
Yes, I appreciate it. Yeah, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome. Appreciate that, guys. So from everyone here at the NFL Draft Bible Tailgate Show, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. But as of now, we are heading to the stadiums. Or we're heading to the TVs. That's what we'll do. All right, guys. Have a great Saturday.